Captain Marvel is coming, and I'm generally super excited whenever any of these Marvel movies drop. I've been watching them for a really long time, and I feel a certain level of connection with a good bunch of these heroes that I've grown to know over the last decade. I realize that I might just be a fanboy of superheroes in general, since I like them in anime, games, comics, pretty much wherever I can find them. Today we're going to be crossing over two of my favorite superhero universes, and to be honest, I'd like to do this more, so let me know if you enjoy it by hitting me on my Twitter at VocalPineapple, or just telling me in the comment section below. Now that that's all said and done though, I'll meet you on the other side of that intro button. Let's go. So in the MCU, fans will notice that some characters aren't as strong as their comic book counterparts. We've seen this repeatedly in the MCU since characters like Doctor Strange and even Scarlet Witch should be way more powerful than they are. I'd like to think that Marvel does this because there's a certain point where things just get too ridiculous to really keep control of on screen. Let's say you give someone a ridiculous ability that they have from the comics as it was shown on page. Well, now you have to think of ways to write around the fact that the character can just do that huge thing now. For this reason, it's better to keep the max power of all of the characters at a more grounded level. Now I say to a more grounded level, but the MCU actually does sort of fit well with the way that we see powers in My Hero Academia. Sure, there are powers that can do amazing things, and there are definitely some potentially broken characters in the universe, but My Hero Academia's powers seem to be grounded in some sort of realism. Todoroki's flames and ice affect his body on a biological level, making it harder for him to function if he's too cold or too hot. Deku has to train to make one for all controllable or his bones are just gonna explode. Bakugo has to watch how big and constant his explosions are or he'll fracture the bones in his arm. There are limits set for our characters that they're obviously meant to overcome, but you see what I mean. Neither of these universes present powers and just explain them as things that the character can do just because, with no setbacks or whatever. Well, with the MCU getting ready to drop 3 more massive trailers on us this month, and my love for making as many views as I can before I'm actually monetized, I thought it'd be smart to try and think up where Captain Marvel would fit in the My Hero Academia universe. Would she be the #1 hero, or would she fall behind a bit when compared to other heroes? This isn't really a power scaling video whatsoever, it's more of a video just taking a look at what Captain Marvel's powers are, how those powers would relate to the MHA universe, and what that would mean as far as her ability to operate as a top hero in the MHA society. We're not going to be taking like a massive deep dive into Captain Marvel, but for the sake of this video, let me explain who Captain Marvel, or Carol Danvers, even is. Captain Marvel is also known as Carol Danvers. She is the daughter of a US Navy officer and Mary L., a female member of the Kree alien race, who also served as their champion. She was born and raised right here on Earth in Boston. She has 2 older brothers, and her father never saw her as an equal to them just because she was a girl. Because of this, you could say that she sorta has a complex when it comes to proving that she can do things just as well as other men in the forefront. You'll see Captain Marvel trying to prove that she can compete with or outdo the big boys, even though with her power set, her ability to handle a given situation isn't really in question. It makes sense why she would behave this way. Her upbringing really hammered in the notion that she could work harder and do better than others, but she might not be able to go as far because of her gender. Carol joins the Air Force at 18 and leaves her family behind to become something greater. She obviously shined in her military service and eventually rose through the ranks to become the head of security at NASA. This job is where she would eventually meet a hero named Mar-Vell and end up wrapped up in a war between alien races. Now, her origin is apparently going to be different in the MCU movie, but I'm not sure how much they're going to change about how her powers awaken for the first time. Let's just say that like any other Marvel hero, Carol has a chance encounter with fate and comes out of it with amazing powers and abilities. Let's talk about what she can do. I won't be able to list everything that she can do, but let's go over some of the most important powers that she has. First off is obviously her ability to absorb and manipulate energy. This is pretty much her most well-known ability, and it's also what she's been doing in the trailer whenever the aura around her looks all glowy and Super Saiyan-like. Captain Marvel can absorb a wide range of energy types and use those energies to power up her physical strength and durability, but that's not the most dangerous or creative use for this ability. Captain Marvel can take the energy that she's absorbed and use it as powerful energy beams and rays that she can shoot out as projectiles at enemies. This ability to control energy is also what makes it so that she's able to fly, so this is definitely one of her most useful abilities. What else does she have? Well, she sort of has like a kind of spider sense that lets her sense incoming danger, but it goes even deeper than that. It's not just her sensing like a car flying towards her at high speed, it's her sensing that there will be a car that will at some point be flung at her at high speed in the near future. The difference here is that Captain Marvel usually has enough time to change into her costume and fly to the source of whatever the danger is. This power has also been used to know an enemy's weakness, and the range and scope of her ability to sense danger varies from story to story. Finally, her ultimate power, for the purpose of this video at least, is binary. When Captain Marvel goes binary, she is pretty much calling upon the power of a star. Basically, through some sort of weird alien experimenting, Captain Marvel becomes linked with a white hole. That's pretty much the opposite of a black hole. This took her to a whole new level, and let me briefly explain why. So you know how Captain Marvel basically runs on energy that she has to absorb and manipulate, right? Well, one of her weaknesses is obviously that this power isn't infinite. While she has energy, she can do some pretty crazy stuff, like manipulating energy to copy other people's powers, like telekinesis and whatnot, but she can run out of power, and when that happens, she's vulnerable. Well, binary sort of spits in the face of that. Think of it this way. If Captain Marvel's weakness is that she doesn't have an infinite source of power to draw from, then what happens if you give her that? What happens if you give her access to an energy so great that using it massively enhances her powers and even gives her new ones? You'll see binary mode Captain Marvel just scorching the battlefield with beams of pure light and radiation. I mean, she can control gravity and much more, so her binary form is definitely her final option, but she can only enter it after absorbing enough energy to power up into binary mode. Alright, so we've got a good idea about Captain Marvel's origin story and her powers. What else is there to cover? Well, there are a multitude of things that I can talk about thanks to the character being around in the comics since the 70s, I believe, but I'm not exactly a comic book expert, and I'd rather leave all of the professional superhero talk to folks like Rob Explained, who will break down literally everything Captain Marvel has ever done in a way more concise and informed format than this one. With that said though, I'm going to begin my process of translating Captain Marvel over to the MHA universe. So, the main question being asked in this video, pretty much for me, and the main point of me writing this video is, where would Captain Marvel place in the MHA Hero Society? I think we could safely say that unchanged, Captain Marvel would immediately be the most powerful known character in the MHA universe. Her abilities operate at a cosmic level in some cases, and without knowing what All Might was like in his prime and other things like that, it's hard to make a case for the MHA heroes being able to take her on or perform better than her when it comes to hero activities, but we'll get into that in a second. Of course, again, I like to say for argument's sake, comic book Captain Marvel easily takes the spot of #1 hero just because of how amazing she is with all of her various abilities. But what would she place at if she were a MHA character with a quirk and everything? This thought was super interesting to me, so I wanted to take Carol Danvers and make her a character within the MHA universe to see how she'd stack up. First off, she needs a quirk. Let's say her quirk is energy absorption and manipulation, so she gets to keep the main aspects of her skill set. She can fly, she has highly enhanced strength and durability, and she can do a number of things with her manipulated energy, like shoot beams and even copy the effects of certain other quirks by manipulating energy in a similar way. Already, she sounds like a force to be reckoned with, but I think there's something that holds her back in this scenario. You see, in My Hero Academia, the hero rankings are not just based off of power. The #1 hero doesn't have to be the strongest hero outright, since part of the rankings comes down to a popularity contest. There's sort of a special voting aspect to the hero rankings, and certain characters place lower or higher on the list depending on how likable they are to the public. This is where I think Captain Marvel would find some trouble, because while she may be a powerful character, sometimes her judgment isn't the best, and this can lead to her creating a huge mess, like we saw her do in Marvel's Civil War 2. Now, there was a lot going on behind the scenes in that event, but it's a premier example of why Captain Marvel isn't exactly the most likable character. I mean, you don't have to do too many Googles to find out that Captain Marvel is a very polarizing character. On one hand, she's not exactly that likable to many readers and even people in-universe, but on the other hand, in a lot of ways, she serves as a role model to women of all ages. This has caused some argument and outrage over the true reason that people don't like Captain Marvel that much, but I'm gonna give the reason that I think will contribute the most to a public dislike of the character. She's too self-absorbed, I think. Obviously, this isn't all of the time, but her upbringing has left her with this weird thing about wanting to be better than men that she's in competition with. I think that she'd see herself as superior to All Might and Endeavor, and as she rose through the hero rankings, she might take issue of not being made the #1 hero, even though she clearly has the power to be that. Ignoring any problems that she'd have with Endeavor thanks to his really messed up way of seeing things for the sake of time, I think Carol would find herself trying to stop crimes before All Might and proclaiming herself the #1 hero just to find the public's response lackluster. After all, being a hero is more than just about saving people, it's about how you do it. Do you think that Captain Marvel is the type of character that saves people with a smile on her face? Or do you think that Captain Marvel is the type of character that would save people with a sort of chip on her shoulder in the situation that she would be in the My Hero universe? Ultimately, the answer to that question will determine whether or not you think that Captain Marvel could be the #1 hero and symbol of peace of Japan, or if you think she'd be stuck at the #2 spot, trying to figure out what makes All Might so different, sort of just like our pal Endeavor. What do you think? Let me know in the comment section below, and smash that like button if you enjoyed this video or learned anything about Cap that you didn't know already. Captain Marvel is coming soon, so check it out in the theaters to witness the birth of the next big Avenger. This video isn't sponsored by Marvel or anybody really, but hey, you know, Disney, you could email me. I mean, I'd answer. Anyway, for now, this is all I've got, guys, so make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that bell icon to join my amazing League of Notifications, who gets to see all of my videos as they drop. That's all I got for now, so I'll see you guys later. This is Vocal Pineapple Academia. Peace.